Alright guys, so this is a little bit different of a video than what I usually do, but it's important to the Charger build, so I'm including it. Got off the phone with the machine shop a couple days ago, and the 440 is not any good, right? So turns out the engine was already bored 60 thousandths over, and the cylinders currently have rust in them, and to get rid of that rust, it's going to take more than just a light hone or going in there with sandwich. It's actually going to have to be bored out again because there's pitting in the cylinder walls, right? But I'm already at maximum bore. You can only bore that 440 60 over, and it's already there, right? So I think prior to 1976, so 75 and back 440s, you can bore them 60 thousandths over. 76 and newer 440s, you can only bore 30 thousandths over. That's the rumor. That's what I hear. They're not like big block Chevys where you can bore them, you know, 100 thousandths or 110 thousandths or all that crazy stuff. So there's really nothing I can do with that block. I can sleeve it, but then you get into the problem of sleeving the engine makes the engine weaker because you take away the core block material, and then you throw in sleeves, and this engine would need pretty much all 8 sleeves, which is a lot of material taken out of that block and replaced with, you know, an insert. So it's just not as strong, and the block isn't special. It's just a 71 440. It's not an HP block. It's not the numbers matching block for that car. It's just another 440 block. So it wouldn't be worth my time or my money to actually fix it. So I did the next best thing, and as y'all can see, hopefully in the bed of the truck, which is a U-Haul truck, because all I have is a Jeep and a motorcycle, so really nothing I can do. But that is a 1969 383 HP with a 727 trans, right? And the HP is because they made different 383s. They made the high performance 383, which is what that one is, and then they made like the lower horsepower rating 383. Same way with the 440, right? So the 440 that was in the car was not an HP motor, right? HP 440s made 375 horsepower and then 390 horsepower for the 6-pack option. That 440 was just a regular 440, so I think it was making 330 something or 315, something like that. It didn't come out of a muscle car. It came out of like a Fury or like an Imperial, something that wasn't a muscle car, right? But that still had a 440. So nothing special about it. This block is special. It's an HP block, and it's drilled for A-body motor mounts, which of course the Charger's a B-body, but this has B-body motor mounts on it, and it's drilled in the place for the A-body mounts, which is apparently a rare thing. I just learned. I don't know, but it was pulled out of a 69 Roadrunner apparently 3 weeks ago, and it was last running apparently a year ago roughly. And he said that it was running real strong. I believe the guy had, you know, several other old muscle cars, you know, Barracudas, Charger, Super B. He had the whole 9. There was no reason for him to lie. So the only thing I don't like about the engine so far is that it has a Edelbrock Torker intake manifold, which, if you know anything about intake manifolds, that is a single plane, right? And single planes, in my opinion, are only good for racing, because what a single plane does, it has one large shared plenum for all the cylinders, which tends to favor higher RPM, and you will gain peak power off of a single plane manifold, but you lose power all under the curve, right? So your peak number will gain, but you lose power under the curve. So unless you're racing and you got the perfect gear set up and a perfect torque converter to keep you right around that peak, you know, horsepower RPM, then you're losing. You're losing all that horsepower that, you know, that was lost under the curve. Like for me, it's just going to be a street car, might see the track a couple times. So for me, that car's going to spend more life under the peak power than it does at exactly the peak power. So there's no point in a single plane manifold. And I have a 440 Edelbrock Performer intake manifold, but the 440 and the 383 don't share intake manifolds because the deck height on a 440 is a taller deck height, which, if you think about it, the deck height is from the center line of the crank to the block surface where the heads mount. So that flat surface that the heads mount to the center line of the crank is the deck height, right? And it's coming out at a 45-degree angle. So, you know, if you start thinking about it, if you raise that deck height, that's going to put the engine physically wider, right? So the V is going to be wider at the points for the intake manifold to bolt to. So a 440 intake manifold is physically wider than a 383 or a 400, right? Because 383 and 400 is the standard deck, I guess, or short deck big block Mopar, where the 440, the 426 wedge, the 413 wedge are all raised deck or tall deck, whatever you want to call them. So I'm not going to buy a 383 intake for this car, but, you know, Edelbrock Performer intake for a 383, just because I don't want to keep the 383 in it. I would want to have a 440 block. So I'm not going to spend $400 on an intake manifold on a Ford that will only fit this engine, that I'm not even planning on keeping in the car. This engine literally is just going to be used to get this car up and driving, so that way I can enjoy it, right? So that way I can go out and cruise nice. I can cruise to wherever I want to go. I can enjoy the car, and then I can fix the car while I'm driving it, and then I can also save up money, buy a 440 block, build it the way I really want, while I'm still able to drive the car. And then, you know, there's not that much of a difference, you know, between swapping in from a 383 to a 440 into the car, right? Just one Saturday whenever I'm off, or one day whenever I'm off, just yank, you know, the radiator and everything out, pull the 383, drop the 440 in, done deal, clean slate, and then, you know, sell the 383, make some of my money back for the building the 440. So that's the plan. It's what I got done today. There you can see it again, 383. So hopefully the next video will be of me putting it in the car. Alright guys, so the disc brake conversion for the front should be coming in today. So I'm gonna go ahead and start tearing down the drums and all that good stuff, so that way I can be prepared whenever it comes in. I ain't gotta worry about it. And as you can see, got a 383 and a 727 trans out, and I was gonna also throw that in the car today, just because there's nothing that needs to be done to the engine that, you know, I can't just do while it's in the car. But there's some stuff I decided not to, because there's some stuff I want to do to the car first before I throw the engine in. That would just be easier. For example, is running all the brake lines. So this car doesn't have any brake lines, especially not for the disc brake setup yet. As you can see, you know, there's no master cylinder or anything. There's no crossover line to go to that side. And I need to replace the strut rod bushings on both sides. So that side over there is nowhere near as bad as this side, but I might as well replace it. And that's just going to be way easier to do with without the engine being in the car. And it's not like I was going to have it up and running, you know, tomorrow anyways. So that's what I got planned for today. I already started now, and yeah, I just gotta, you know, unstick this drum, knock it off, start tearing everything down, be good to go. So alright, so we're back, and this car was sitting for a long time before I got it. This front wheel, the driver's side front wheel, was like halfway buried in the dirt. And a testament to that is all the dirt that's caked up on here. So all the dirt on the backing plate, the wheel cylinder, all the dirt that's off, and then the inside of the drum. So it's crazy. And the other side, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it from over here. There's no drum, no nothing on that side. So that side's gonna be even easier to take off. So I already got all this off, and I'm not gonna have to reuse any of this stuff. The kit comes with everything new I'm gonna need. So now it's just bust the ball joint, or actually bust the tie rods off, bust the ball joints off. Pretty much anything that's connecting this this spindle and this backing plate, anything that's connected to it, I gotta bust off. So I don't have to worry about taking the backing plate off of the spindle, but anything that's keeping the spindle on the car. So yeah, I don't know. I'm about to dig into it. We're about to find out. But some of this stuff back here, tie rod in, and then actually maybe not even tie rod in. I could probably just loosen that big nut, and then just start cracking away at it. And lower ball joint, it looks like lower ball joint, upper ball joint. So I'm gonna get on that, and yeah, bring it back. All right, guys. So it's been a minute since I filmed a Charger update, and I think I left off where I was bringing the 383 and the 727 transmission back home. So there it is right there. 383, it's an HP motor. I have a 69 Roadrunner, real deal, 727 trans, still original trans and everything, right? So the reason why I haven't filmed much lately is just because there's been a lot of crap going home. I went home to Florida for a week, so that was a week out of schedule. And then I've been doing a disc brake conversion since I've been back, and right before I left too. So the disc brake conversion showed up the day I left, like minutes before I left. And been doing that. So since I've been back, I've been working on disc brake conversion, and I've had a few problems, right? Here's what I got going on. As you can see, there's no upper control arm, no spindle, no nothing, right? So if you start looking, I threw away the old upper control arm because the ball joint was stuck in it, and I had to buy new upper control arms, right? So I bought these. These are original 1970 upper control arms for a Charger, and several other B bodies, and I think 70 to 74 E bodies, right? So I bought these, and they came disassembled, right? They were just powder coated way back in, I think, like the early 2000s or something. So I threw new bushings in on each of them, and then the passenger side, the ball joint. So these ball joints are screw in, as you can see. Maybe you can see, I don't know. There's threads in there, right? So these ball joints are screw in. That's why I couldn't get the old ones out. Like, I got the socket. There's a socket right there. And it's a specialty socket. Started bending my 1/2-inch breaker bar whenever I put a pipe on the end of the breaker bar. Couldn't get it right. I don't have an air compressor with like a impact or anything. So I threw these in. The passenger side was perfect, right? I mean, I didn't throw it in the car. I just screwed a ball joint into it, and it was fine. Went to go put on the driver's side, which is actually this one, I think. And the ball joint just slid right in, right? And you just boop, boop, take it in, out. The threads, I mean, the threads are fine for what it is, but it just, I guess over time, you know, they're 50-year-old ball joints, or 50-year-old control arms. I guess the hole just got, you know, so messed up that it didn't matter. So I returned the ball joints, got that $70 back. I can't return the upper bushings because I already threw them in a control arm, right? But they was only like 20 bucks, so whatever. But I spent 120 bucks on these control arms on eBay. And I just found another set earlier today, actually last night. They was $110 for 2 control arms, passenger and driver side, fully assembled, right? If I would have saw that from the get-go, they was cheaper than these, and they came pre-assembled, so I could have saved the money in upper bushings and upper ball joints. But it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? So I've been waiting on that, so I decided to go ahead and put the master cylinder and the booster and the bracket on. And the only reason why there's this bracket is supposedly this is a GM style booster, which requires a special bracket to be able to mate to the firewall, right? But I got it all hooked up, got everything adjusted right with that little, it's like a little turnbuckle style deal. And then I got the master cylinder sitting in place, and there's no fluid in or anything, and it's dual sided, so brake lines can come out of either side. So this side being so close to the inner fender, or the whatever you want to call it, I'm probably just going to use the other side, and I'm just going to put little plugs in this and then run them down and everything. But the kit came with drilled and slotted rotors, the same lug pattern, 5 on 4.5, new spindles, new wheel bearings and caps, and as you can see, everything I pretty much need. New calipers, caliper bracket, dust shield. I need everything for the passenger side too. So the new upper control arms I think should be here next Friday. So they should be here next Friday, and then after that, I think that's all for brakes. I just got to run brake lines and the little adjustable proportion valve, so it has a little knob on it, right? So I just run the rear brake line into it, and then I run the rear brake line out of it, and that little knob controls the pressure to the rear brakes, right? And that's how you get your set pressure from front to back, right? So it's also like a line lock. So people that have had you know, hot rods before, you run a line lock, there's a little button and it will shut off pressure. Or so the way a line lock works is you pump up the brakes, and then you hit the button while you're holding the brakes, and you let off the brakes, and it holds the pressure to the front and it releases the pressure to the rear. So that way you save your rear brakes, and you you know, you don't wear out the brake pads, and it's easier to do a burnout. It's way more efficient. You don't screw anything up, right? Well, this is a little proportion valve, so I can just, you know, adjust the rear brakes down to 0 pressure, and that's going to cut the rear brakes off real quick. And then, yeah, it'll just be the front brakes. So I want to do a burnout and then just adjust it back. So I'm going to run that valve right underneath the dash. I'm going to run a hard line in, hard line out. And then I'm just going to put a mark wherever I feel like the right pressure is for like everyday driving. I'm going to put like a little marker where it needs to be adjusted. And then, of course, whenever I want to do burnout, I'll just close it all the way and boom. No pressure to the back. Easy burnout status. So it's not much, but with everything that's been going on, it's a lot. And then of course, filler neck, new lug nuts, new door hinges for the passenger side, which actually the guy I bought the motor from gave me these door hinges. Super cool dude. And he said that he was gonna hit me up about the grill and everything in a couple weeks. And then new gas tank and I don't know what this is. I keep forgetting. I don't know. It's something. Yeah, I can't even remember. It's something for the rear of the car. And then of course grease gun and everything, because you know I got grease wheel bearings and pack those, which they make a little tool for it, which I need to buy because it's only like $7. But then yeah, and then it's gonna be finding out if this is the original rear end or not, and ordering a posi unit and just slapping a 383 in, doing a wiring harness, which I have one. But I don't know if the wire harness is any good because it's probably 50 years old. New wiring harness, plug and play type deal. Comes with all the plug-ins, all the connectors, everything I ever need is $1,000. So I don't want to drop $1,000 on it, but I might. I'm trying to keep the total budget for this car like under 11,000. Like buying the car and everything I put into it under 11,000, which is easily done. I can have it up and running and driving for under 11,000. It's just gonna be work with the old harness and no posi unit. That might throw me over. I didn't even think about a new harness. But yeah, so this is pretty much everything. It's 383 still sitting here. I had someone buy the they bought the doors and the deck lid, which I mean I didn't need, so I was happy to sell it. And then somebody else came by and bought like all the tiny little parts. I had like a bunch of interior parts that was like blue and stuff, which I have a box full of brand new black interior parts that I'm gonna use on the car, so I didn't need the blue stuff anyways. And then they also bought the engine, the 440 that came out of the car, like the heads, the intake, the carburetor, a spare carburetor I had, all that stuff. Sold all that stuff, didn't need it. So no point me holding on to it. Somebody else can use it. I think he was just going to use it to try to trade stuff. He's into Roadrunners, so he's going to try to trade some Charger parts for Roadrunner parts. But that's going to be all. So this video is pretty much like an update, I guess. There's not much work going on. But yeah, I'll see y'all later.